The Duke of Denver, John Elway's time with the organization appears to be coming to an end of an era, if you will. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. Matthew Peterson here with some pretty big news, I would say, with John Elway and the Broncos officially going their separate ways, it appears. So, John Elway, the player, and then there's John Elway, the GM. We're going to just kind of go through some of the greatest hits from John Elway, talk about the legacy and the impact he had on this team, and just take everyone on a nice stroll down memory lane. So I think for John Elway, a legend, the biggest player in franchise history, let's have this be the most liked video in channel history. So hit that thumbs up button if it's the first time, if it's the 100th time, whatever it may be. Do it for John, because there's that one NFL channel commercial where it ends with "this one's for John." You know what I'm talking about? Love that one. So for John, like today's video, and let's have this be the most liked video in Broncos Breakdown history. Now, Elway moving on after his one-year contract as a consultant for the Broncos expired. Remember, he handed the reins over to George Payton back in 2021. Last year, they're like, hey, we'll give you a one-year consulting gig, a.k.a. your pass still works and you can still swipe into the building and park your car here. But that expired when the new league year kickstarted, and it was revealed that he is more or less done with the Broncos. Now, of course, the quarterback for the team from 1983 to 1998. 1983, 40 years ago. 40 years with this organization. Like, that is longer than probably 90% of marriages last. So for John Elway to stick with this team through the ups and downs for 40 years, like, there is some bad for sure, unfortunately more recently than early on, but I do think you got to remember him for all the great moments and the great hits he had, and also just, I mean, applaud his loyalty for 40 years with one team and one city. And, of course, when you win 2 Super Bowls as a player, going back-to-back and winning one as a GM, that's definitely going to make people remember you quite fondly. So, John Elway did speak to 9 News about the move, and here's what he said. I've enjoyed the relationship with the Broncos for a long, long time. I told Greg I'd be happy to be a resource for him and help in any way that I can. I just wanted the flexibility. They're in great hands. I still plan on being around to watch and be a resource for Greg or George Payton if I can. Ooh, I mean, this kind of sounds like John Elway is a puppy at the back door. He still wants to come in. He still wants to be a part of this organization. He just wants to be wanted at this point. Whereas I think the Broncos kind of want to put him in that Peyton Manning sort of level where it's, hey, come to a couple home games each year, wear an orange jacket and tie, come on the field for the pregame, and maybe go to the box and watch the game. Now, I'm sure Denver would like to have Peyton Manning in a bigger role and not where he currently is, but I don't think that Sean Payton, new head coach, Walton-Penner, new ownership, is all that interested in having having John Elway sort of hang around for another decade or so, because unfortunately the last decade under John Elway's watch after the Super Bowl did not go very well. Now, I do want to bring some positive memories up here because there are unfortunately some bad ones as of late, but let's go back in time a little bit and tell me your favorite John Elway moment. Now, it's pretty clear that I was not alive for the great postseason runs and whatnot. So I think for me, the greatest hit from John Elway would have to be getting Peyton Manning, but he definitely had some great moments playing for the Orange Crush as well. Now, in his career through 16 seasons, I thought it would be more appropriate to not show you his completion percentage, but what he was able to build in his accolades, right? 9-time Pro Bowler, and that's when the Pro Bowl actually meant something. 2-time Super Bowl champ, an MVP as well, along with a Super Bowl MVP to go along with it. It's unfortunate that the post-Peyton Manning era has left so many people, and deservingly so, with a bad taste in their mouth for John Elway. Now, I do want to quickly plug this, though. There's a lot of people, I think, out there that somewhat say under their breath or don't want to say it out loud, all John Elway did as a GM was hire or sign Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning did the rest. I don't really remember Peyton Manning being a key contributor to winning that Super Bowl in 2015. I remember the defense doing that. And that was a defense that was largely created in free agency. And guys that were signed by John Elway. So I do think John Elway deserves a lot of credit for that Super Bowl as the GM. And it shouldn't all just be, well, he kind of lucked into Peyton Manning and Peyton took care of the rest. Now, Elway had a phenomenal start to his career as a GM, right? The Tim Tebow, Demaryius Thomas moment in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, all division champs, 5 straight seasons. It's been too long. A lot of postseason runs, 6 playoff wins in those first 5 seasons, 5 division titles, 58 wins, and of course, that Super Bowl in 2015. Unfortunately, it's the post-Manning era that did not leave Elway standing tall. 32 wins in 5 seasons, a carousel at the quarterback position, trying every single which way, just trying to recreate a different, a hybrid of himself and Peyton Manning with Lynch and Simeon and a lot of other busts. But ultimately, you know the expression. You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think this somewhat applies to John Elway, right? If Elway retired when Peyton Manning retired, man, I mean, he would go down as no doubt, unquestioned the greatest player and icon of franchise history. And he still is. But I do think that the shadow of the next 5 seasons and him trying to recreate Peyton Manning and not doing it well, and it's not easy to recreate one of the greatest of all times, kind of leaves people with a bad taste in their mouth, and that's a bummer. I mean, I don't need to take anyone down memory lane to know that after Peyton Manning, things did not go well for John Elway trying to find the next franchise quarterback. So before we get to more roses for Elway, the NFL draft is this month, and we've been talking about the official draft hats for a little over a week at this point, so do not miss out because it's already April 5th right now? I know it feels early in the month, but don't be a, day late, dollar short person like I am, because you won't end up getting a draft hat. And then all your buds and all your friends will be wearing one, and you'll be the only guy left out. So get your own right now, chatsports.com/Broncos draft. That link's in the comments and the description of today's video. Moving ahead here, right? Kind of looking forward now for the Broncos, right? A new era of Broncos football is coming our way. It's already here. But now it's really turning the page, right? Now it is really looking ahead, and it starts with this man, Sean Payton. 5-year contract as a head coach, trade for him, huge salary given out. I mean, there is a big investment in Sean Payton, and a comfortable one too, because he is a Super Bowl winning coach. He did a ton for the city of New Orleans, and hopefully he can bring that over to Denver, but it starts with Sean Payton. But it's not only on his shoulders. It's these guys too. It's the new ownership group, right? As John Elway and Pat Bowlen kind of leave their legacy behind, now a new chapter starts. It's not even almost a new chapter. It's a new book starting, and it's called Sean Payton and All the Walmart Money. What can they do? Can they get the Broncos, one of the proudest franchises in NFL history, top 5 in Super Bowl appearances, back to the peak of the mountain, back to the top where they have been for so long and so many times, or they continue going to be at the bottom of the AFC West? Big shoes to fill for these new owners and Sean Payton as they take over a franchise that's had so much success in their history, but the last 5, 6, 7 seasons has seen very little of it. So be honest with me. Are the Broncos headed in the right direction? Give me a yes or no. Under the Walton-Penner ownership group, George and Sean Payton, are they finally starting to get back to where they were over a decade ago and for a long stretch under Elway as a player? Sound off for me in the comment section below if you believe that Denver is headed back in the right direction. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And to the Duke of Denver, thank you for everything you did for this city, this fan base, this organization. Because sure, it might not have all been great memories, but I think the good outweighs the bad. And so for John Elway, thank you. This one's for John.